Hey, everybody. It is me, Sheeta D, and I'm here today with my guest, Eve Clark. We are talking today about COVID. We're talking about getting COVID in a foreign country. And Eve, who we know online as the disabled diva, took an L for all of us. Eve said, I will be the sacrificial lamb. And I'm going to tell y'all, she got COVID, and she's going to tell us what she went through. So first, backing up a second, good morning to everyone who's here. If you don't know me, my name is Rashida Dow. I host this channel, Sheeta's on the Loose, and every week I talk about traveling or money or doing whatever you need to do to live your best life. Money is usually wrapped up tight in it, but at the end result for most people is either moving abroad, taking a career break, or something like that. I am a career break coach, and I am here with one of my faves, who is one of the most helpful people on the internet, Eve Clark. So, Eve, break it down to us, because you had been in Bali.
I was.
Last year.
Right.
And then you came back.
I did.
And then you went and you did some more traveling. When did you leave on for this new leg of traveling, the second leg?
I was telling yeah, you can leave that later. Thanks. I left again in August.
Okay.
Yeah, left again in August.
And you got back when?
Saturday. So I've been back. I've been back here in America just about a week. I think I've been back 1 week now.
Okay. It feels longer, but I don't know. At time is just, right now.
But I've been back 1 week.
Okay. So you left in August. And where did you go in August?
I went to Rwanda. To Rwanda, stayed there about a month. And then I went to Morocco, stayed there for 2 months. And then I went to Egypt, stayed in Egypt for a month, and then went to Dubai and stayed there for 40 days.
I didn't realize you were in Dubai that long.
Yeah, and not on purpose, but yeah.
Okay, so you got COVID in Dubai?
Right. Yeah, okay. It was just I was there for the World Expo, and I was there while it was supposed to be my transitional spot to jump back into Indonesia. I was there waiting for my visa. We had to be there for so many days to jump back into Indonesia. I was waiting for my visa to be processed and got COVID. And then
so you were going back to Bali for the long term?
Yeah, I was going to be there for, about 4 or 5 months before I went back to Thailand, which I got locked up to go claim my belongings my belongings are still in Thailand.
Woo! Well, I'm happy for you, because when I got stuck in the U.S., my belongings disappeared from Mexico. So I hope your belongings.
Oh yes, let's have a moment of silence for that. I remember that.
Yours. Listen. The recovery period after having everything you own, everything you collected around the world go missing. The recovery period. Anyway, okay, so you're in Dubai waiting to go to Bali. And you get COVID.
Yes.
When did you find out that you had COVID?
December 27th. Yes, we won't forget that day. So December 27th. And the thing was, we didn't even know we had COVID. Let's just talk about how we didn't know it was COVID. So we thought we had a cold. I say we, because for those who don't know, I travel with my husband, my buddy, my worldwide shenanigans partner, my husband, Meltex. And so if we thought it was a cold, first he had a headache, then he had a fever, then the fever was gone. And so if we're in close quarters in our hotel room, I travel with an extensive amount of medicine, right?
Yes.
So he had a headache, boom, I got you, right? He had a fever, boom, I got you. And then it was like, oh, you got a fever? I'm going to have a fever tomorrow. So we're going to take some antibiotics right now, because I have had pneumonia 27 times.
Right? Okay, let's back up a second, because I did not give the proper introduction. So why don't you introduce yourself, and then I will hop in with the other stuff I know that people need to know. So introduce yourself to the people.
So backing up for people who don't know me or follow my worldwide shenanigans with me, myself and my husband. My name is Eve Clark. I am a retired general contractor. My husband and I retired and did our first expat travels in Thailand, right? We spent some glorious time in Thailand. And then when the pandemic happened, we had decided, oh, we're going to go to Bali, right? And we spent some time in Bali because we got locked down there. And we spent a year in Indonesia. And that's how we have started our expat life on our way to eventually we will end up in Costa Rica, and that will be our permanent expat home. My tagline is Disabled Diva Travels because I have had multiple sclerosis for 25 years, and I also have a lung disease called bronchiectasis as well, but I never let any of those things stop me from traveling the world. And along the way, there are always some type of shenanigans, and catching COVID in Dubai was just the latest thing that has happened to my husband and I. So when it happened, we didn't really know it was COVID because I travel with so much medicine that I was like, boom, 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 medicating us immediately, because a cold for somebody that you're over with in a couple of days normally will turn into pneumonia for me. So usually at the first achoo or the sneeze, I'm usually like right on it, because we can't let things fester, because something that festers for me will turn into pneumonia quite quickly, which is why one of my hospitalizations in, I think it was Bali, in fact, was pneumonia. I was hospitalized there for pneumonia. So.
Okay. So you are a person with a lung disease who's prone to pneumonia, who caught COVID and was like, oh, is that what's going on?
Right. So we just immediately, I had right then and there 3 courses of antibiotics in my suitcase, right? So the minute he had a headache and a fever, we just treated it like we normally would, right? Mm-hmm. It is nothing. So before anybody says you immediately had COVID, this is my normal everyday life, right? You get a cold, immediately knock it out. I have less than 48 hours to knock something out. That tickle in my throat, before it reaches my chest, I got to knock it out before it turns into pneumonia. So, we jumped into our normal thing, right? And we started the antibiotics. We stayed, in our hotel room for a week. We thought we were better. We went back to the Expo, which is what we were in Dubai for. And the walk from the bus to where we get the wheelchair, it's about the equivalent of, let's say, half a football field.
Okay.
And when we got there, we were like, oh God, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Fatigue, right? Mm-hmm. But again, I'm handicapped, right? I know, I got to pop in most of the days. So I don't look like I'm handicapped, but I am. So I was like, oh, I'm so tired, and my breath was a little labored. So we just did a couple of hours there, and we were back to our hotel, stayed down for another couple of days, tried it again. And again, I was so tired. My chest was I'm having problems. And I'm thinking, wait, maybe that was, I started looking up what was going on. And now it's Christmas? And back in Dallas, all my friends are falling like dominoes with COVID, right? Mm-hmm. It's COVID everywhere. And I'm thinking, let me look up these new symptoms, right? Because we don't have the typical COVID symptoms. And sure enough, I'm thinking, maybe I should go get this checked out. And we wait a couple of days, we go, and sure enough, it comes back positive for COVID.
Okay. All right. So Dubai, from what I've heard, isn't the first, I felt like, let's talk in general. I felt like they were being very cautious about the spread. What is your impression of it? You've been there.
Well, yes, if you're in Dubai proper, right?
Okay.
But I'm a slow traveler, right? Yep. Remember I said I'm on some slow travel. I'm a budget slow traveler. So I'm not in Dubai proper. I'm in another emirate called Sharjah.
Sharjah.
Right? Okay. Which is about 45 minutes to an hour outside of Dubai. How do I... it's like if you're in Dallas, I'm not in Dallas County, I'm in Denton County, right? I'm in a whole nother county, whole nother emirate.
With lots of land.
Lots of land. So people think about Dubai and Abu Dhabi. In between these two places, there are Sharjah, right? Okay. So I find out there's a distinct difference when I'm calling around to find a new place to stay, because as I approach my hotel and tell them I need to stay more days, and can you not charge me the triple rate that's coming up for New Year's Eve, he says, no, absolutely not. You can't pay the regular rate. And by the way, get out. Get out right now. So then now there's a banter back and forth between my hotel, because now they want me to get out right now. And I'm saying I'm not going anywhere because I paid all this money for these days. And he ends up trying to help us find another location, but nobody else wants us. It's like, no, all the quarantine hotels are booked. And that's when I find out the difference between Dubai and Sharjah. It's a different county. So Dubai Health, well, yeah, they come and get you, they'll help you. But since I'm in Sharjah, a different emirate or a different county, there's no real help. And then the health department in Sharjah says, girl, please, just go and stay right where you at. We don't even care about that no more. We ain't picking up people no more. Stay where you at. Tell that hotel manager we said you could stay right there. And the hotel manager says, yeah, no, get out. And I said, I'm not getting out till tomorrow. And then we had to find a whole nother place to stay.
Okay. So pause. This is one of the reasons I wanted you to hear Eve's story. If you're listening now, Eve was in a hotel she had paid for. She came down with COVID, and the hotel was like, oh, okay, that's terrible. You're sick. Get your shit and go. Like, yeah. And so that's something that you need to
and wait, we're not sick anymore, because by now, remember, we were sick December 15th.
Yes.
We had waited all these days. We weren't even sick anymore. I had some breathing issues, but remember, my lungs work at only 50% capacity on a daily basis. So when the COVID happened, the problems I'm having is labored issue, because I already have a lung disease, not like a normal person. Right. So by the time I test positive, remember, we're not sick anymore, but the COVID still is in the system. Like another friend of mine tested positive for 90 days. Oof. So I'm no longer sick.
Right.
I'm just still testing positive.
Right.
But we're not sick anymore. But he's like, I don't care, get out.
With the testing positive, it meant that you couldn't leave the country. Is that why did you need to stay longer in that hotel than you planned?
Because I had to quarantine for 10 days.
Okay. So
you have to loosely quarantine.
All right. So you tested positive, even though you had all the symptoms were gone, everything. You are recovered, but you're still testing positive. The health department requires you to quarantine for 10 days there?
Yeah, because now starts the 10-day clock.
Right. But the hotel was like, get your ass on. And then there were no other quarantine hotels available.
Yes.
So I'm like, tell people that traveling in this day and age is just a shit show.
So,
and now, here. All right.
And now I'm in a black hole, because I have already paid all this money for my Indonesian visa.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
And remember, there's non-refundable Indonesian quarantine hotels, right? And I don't technically have my Indonesian plane ticket, because I'm waiting for my Indonesian visa. So I know when to leave.
Right.
Right. So I'm in a black hole that I'm not really covered on any insurance, because I'm not sick. I'm not in a hotel. I don't have a ticket booked to my next location. So, and I didn't have additional days booked past a certain point at this hotel. So I'm fighting with them to get my money back, because now they're keeping my money, because they're saying, we got to pay, you're going to pay us to clean this room, the hotel, the elevators, the lobby. So we keeping all your money, because
so
your infected asses touched on
and they're trying to keep your money?
Yes. Oh, yes. Because they got to call in the hazmat team to clean my room, the hallway, the elevator, the lobby, and anything else I've licked or touched since I've been there.
That's a lot. Okay, fortunately, you had Melvin, right? It was two of you in this together, because otherwise, that feels like a lot for one person to go through.
It is a lot. It's trauma. And I'm a veteran, right? I'm a veteran travel. I'm seasoned, right? And I'm just coming down from the trauma that it was for me to leave Rwanda to get into Morocco, because that was a whole nother shebang that I had just got over, right? That I had to detox from while I was in Egypt. Because traveling now during times of COVID, it's rough. It was rough for me to leave America to enter Rwanda. It was hard to leave Rwanda to get into Egypt. It was hard to exit Egypt to get into Dubai. Yes, it has been a lot out here in these travel streets.
Has there been, I want to get back to the Dubai story, but has there been one besides COVID overall, has there been one consistent thing that's made travel harder? Is it like people knowing the rules? Is it rules change? Is there one thing that you can point to and say, this is the common denominator, or has it been different things every time?
The common denominator are the constant rules changing. Even when I left Bali to come back to America, the constant rules changing, even back then. Emirates let me purchase a ticket to leave Bali, and they couldn't even land in Bali. I had to buy another ticket for them to pick me up in Jakarta. And they were like, well, you on your own getting to Jakarta, right? I had to buy a whole nother ticket for leaving Bali to get to Jakarta. That created a whole nother testing problem because Emirates only took a certain test within 72 hours, but AirAsia, who I had to fly to get to connect to them, required a test within 24 hours. They both required two different types of testing, and Emirates required a very expensive test because two particular countries, who I won't name, was making fraudulent tests. So Emirates required you only get a certain test from certain places, and we were leaving during Ramadan and a Christian holiday, so I could only go to a certain lab to get the test to come back into America. So all of that was a shit show. So yeah, that kicked it off. It's just problematic.
Okay, so we're gonna double back there because it sounds. I want to talk about leaving Rwanda again without bringing up all of it, the trauma, but I want to get to that later. But okay, you're in Dubai. You've tested positive. You're required to quarantine. The quarantine hotels are full. What do you do at this point?
So at this point, me and first we tell the manager that evening, and we ain't going nowhere because the places you told us to call are not taking us. We called several more places. They're not taking us. We need to regroup. We'll leave your raggedy ass hotel, but we ain't leaving till tomorrow. And he was like, okay. So, we just exhale. And we was like, can you just drop us some food outside our door? Because, yeah, we hungry now. And he does that. And the next day we get up and we start calling places. We find a place and we're not telling nobody from here on out, right? And we only told him because we had to book more days. Okay. And then we only booked the next place. We only booked it for 2 days because we didn't know if he was going to rat us out.
Right.
And then we also don't know if our passport is tagged and it's the health department coming to snatch us up. Ooh. Right. We don't know. And we're not finna lose no more thousands of dollars. So we booked 2 days. We get there, we look around, we're like, yeah, these people don't give a shit. They ain't caring. They ain't saying nothing, no way. So we stay 2 days. They obviously don't care. We booked the rest of the time, and sure enough, they didn't care about nothing. And we didn't tell them nothing. They ain't say nothing, and we stayed the rest of our time.
When you say they don't care, what did that look like?
The health department didn't come get us. Nobody called. Nobody said nothing. The front desk didn't ask about our status. We didn't tell them about our status. We kept to ourselves, kept our heads down. I went radio silence on all social media. I said nothing to nobody. I tagged nowhere. I went nowhere. And that was it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now your 10 days quarantine is up. And let's back up a second. Do you know if your travel I'm sure you know, because you're the kind of person who would know this. Does your travel insurance cover quarantine?
No, not if you don't have any symptoms. Okay. So the problem is because of the way I travel, right? Because I'm a nomad. I'm in a nomad kind of situation. Right? So I'm not on a trip.
Yep.
I'm not on a 14-day trip. So I was already there. Where was I going to go? Now, if I would have missed my flight to go to Indonesia, I'm covered, right? But I'm open-ended. So what you covering? You see if that makes sense?
It does. It does. When people ask about travel insurance all the time. It's harder to get it if the US isn't your home base and you're not on short trips. Travel insurance is harder. So for me, the last time I was bopping around like this, my travel insurance only covered me for a 45-day trip. So if I was gone longer than that, anything on the back end, I was just like, fingers crossed, right?
Right. It has something to do with the fact that I buy open-ended one-way tickets. So if I'm in a ticket-to-ticket situation, I'm covered. If I'm in the hospital, I'm covered no matter what. If I'm hospitalized, that is not the issue. But I'm not in the hospital.
Right.
Right. And I didn't miss any particular travel. Right. So what is it that they're covering in terms of quarantine? And again, I'm not sick.
Right.
So there's nothing to cover.
You also have a US-based health insurance policy that covers you abroad, right?
Yes, it covers hospitalization abroad.
Hospitalization abroad, but that's okay. So you're like, you got the travel insurance, you got the health insurance that will cover you abroad. You have multiple overlapping coverages, and still you got a pocket.
But I'm not really sick, so
right.
And if I needed to come home, I could have came home if I was sick and needed to be medevac home. You know,
yes,
I can do that, but I'm not really. I'm in like a black hole, sort of. You know, to them, I'm just parlaying in Dubai, sort of, with COVID. But I don't really qualify for any coverage, if that made sense.
It does. It does. Okay. So you're in Dubai. The quarantine is up. You stayed at the other hotel for 10 days or not, whatever number of days was. What did you do after that stay was up? Were you like, get me on a plane and get me out of here? Was that it?
Sort of. Yeah, well, you know, now I got to try to make my way back because now it's like, well, now I have health issues. So my visa is ready for me. Bam.
Your visa is ready to go to Indonesia.
But I'm sick.
But you're sick.
I have identified the problem now that I need to be seen by American doctors.
Okay.
Because I had problems getting reimbursed from some hospitalizations previously. I'm not going to play them games anymore. Whatever there is going on in my chest, I know enough to know that I need to go back to America and deal with this. So let me just put Indonesia on pause. Let me bounce on back to America and deal with this.
Okay.
But now I got to get out the country. Right. So here I am in America now trying to deal with it with these raggedy American doctors. But that's a whole nother life for another day.
But let's double back to your health. You already have like 50% lung capacity pre-COVID. Now you know your body well enough, and you've been sick long enough that you know that there is something not right about your lungs. You need to get it treated. Did you never considered staying in Dubai or in the Emirates?
No.
Okay. No. Was it for you? Was it Bali or the US, or was it like no question at all? Definitely.
I need to come home. There was no question. I've been hospitalized in other places, so I know, and I've had lung issues before in other places. I know I need to come home. Like I need to deal with this back in America. Okay.
Has this last stretch of travel, I feel like the last 2 years of your life have been like, where am I? What's going on? We'll see, right? Like, because you were in Thailand and then you weren't, and then you were back in the US for a little while, and now anyway, has the last 6 months changed how you feel about travel?
Yeah, the last 6 months, I would say I am ready to be done. Like I'm done with it. I'm done with all we were supposed to go other places in Africa, right? I was supposed to go to Tanzania. I was supposed to go to Senegal and Ghana. And when we got to Rwanda, I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. Yeah, we are not going to Senegal. We are not going to Ghana. I'm done with this. We had to meet some people in Morocco, and we were meeting some people in Egypt. And we were going, I knew I wanted to go to the World's Fair. And I said, I'm done. We are going to go to Indonesia because I know I could just get there and parlay and just sit down and breathe, right, and rest. Because it was so much drama with all the back and forth of the COVID changes and the documentation that's required. And I was over it. So I'm ready to go claim my belongings and get to Costa Rica and sit it down. It's just too much.
Right.
And even now with the flight situation, there was a cheaper flight to come back, but it required us to go through too many. It wasn't a nonstop flight, right? And I was like, I can't do that. I need to get on a plane and land in Dallas. I can't make no stops.
No stops. No stops.
I don't care what it costs. Yeah, we flew Emirates. We need to get on one plane and we need to land in Dallas.
I've been talking to people about this lately. Like, do not have layovers. If you can avoid a layover at all, no matter what it costs you, if it's not worth paying for the layover to you, paying to not have a layover, you might want to cancel that trip.
Yeah,
because layovers right now are just.
That was one of the problems in Rwanda when we were exiting Rwanda. The interrogation that we had to go through was part of the problem. Was the layover in Egypt? They had to bring a man out the back room. He had to put his sandwich down and come up there and interrogate us about that layover. And yeah, it was horrible. So yeah, I'm done with that.
You went from Rwanda to where?
We left Rwanda. We were headed to Morocco, but we had a 22-hour layover in Egypt.
Okay, so you were going to leave the airport in Egypt, and that's why your layover was more difficult? Okay.
It created COVID. It was problematic for the Rwandans. What? Because I was also on a one-way ticket. Where was my yellow fever card? Where was my onward travel card? I mean, my onward travel ticket. The Rwandans were not having it. And I had to be very up on all of the travel protocols for the country I was leaving out of, the country I was landing in, the fact that I had an American passport, not a Rwandan passport. It was a lot.
Okay, so I believe you had a good time in Egypt, and it wasn't your first time there, right?
Yeah, great.
Was it worth it to you, or would you have skipped it knowing what you know now?
Oh no, I absolutely love Egypt, and I definitely would have. I've gone, but Morocco was the destination at that time.
Yes. I'm asking if the layover was worth it.
The layover? No, but there was no other way to enter.
Okay.
I was coming from Kigali, and there was no other flight for me to get at that. Okay. There wasn't another route. Okay. And if I had to do it, since I know people in Egypt, it was the safest route for me. Because if there would have been some drama that would have went down, I'm always going to be safe in Egypt because I have an excellent support system in Egypt. If I got to get stuck someplace, that's a place for me to be stuck.
All right.
Which is what I told the manager at the airport.
Okay. Were they worried about you being stuck, or did they think you were violating some sort of policy?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
All right. Now, when you were leaving Egypt to go to Morocco, was there any drama there, or was it stress-free?
Yes and no. A little bit in terms of COVID testing and how they try to double and triple charge you. But since I have some people on the ground, I was able to avoid some of that.
Okay. All right. What's the most you paid for a COVID test in your travels? What's the most you've paid for a COVID, for like a PCR test? What's the most you paid?
Yeah, I want to say it was probably Bali, $140 leaving.
Okay.
Per person, I think it was leaving. Which was all Emirates based. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So your eventual goal was to get to Indonesia, and from Indonesia back to Thailand?
Yeah. Just grab your belongings, and then I would have came back.
Costa Rica. Okay. Yeah. Now that you're back in the US.
But you're not finished with Dubai, sister friend, because don't let some people get off with the drama that ensued about. I still had to get back with that letter that I had to get from the health department.
Oh, you had to go to the health department to get a letter, not just a regular doctor?
Oh, yeah, because I was still going to test positive. So I had to go to the health department to get a certification that I completed a quarantine, and I had to use that letter to board the flight.
Okay. And was that a drama-free process?
Hell no. No, we had to actually go to the airport because Emirates, the letter, it took 2 trips to the health department to get the letter. And that was the all-day process on the second trip. And once we got the letter, it doesn't say what you think it would say. First, we couldn't get a PCR test that morning. We went to several clinics. We couldn't get a PCR test because Dubai, they changed their protocol from December 27th until January 13th, the testing protocols changed from 24-hour returns to 36 hours at 5 clinics near our hotel. So we couldn't get an immediate PCR test that morning. So we're like, we're screwed. And now we got it. We done played around with this all morning. We got to go get this letter. We get out there in the middle of the desert to the health department to go get the letter. It's an all-day process. When we leave there, there's no cabs. So we got to walk back through the desert to the main road to get a cab. We finally get a cab to get back. The letter says we need a PCR test to go with the letter that says we are of no imminent threat and we have completed the quarantine. Please let these people get on a plane. But we don't think Emirates is going to take the letter. So we got to go all the way to the airport to see will Emirates take the letter.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was drama. Eventually, after several supervisors, we got them to take it, and they gave us our boarding passes that evening to fly in the morning. It was almost midnight by the time we left the airport for our 9 a.m. flight. And then in the morning, it was still more drama with the letter, but we finally were able to board.
That's right. So you asked someone, you went a day ahead of time to ask if the letter was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, sure, why not?
No, it was a few people in before we finally got the right person to say yes.
And then the next day, you had to name him, right? You had to be like, so-and-so said it was
We had to name the man the evening before that said it was. And luckily, we were at the right place at the right time to run into the man that said, yes, it's fine. And in fact, go get your boarding passes right now. And had we not listened to him the night before and got our boarding passes, we never would have been able to board the next day. Because everybody the next morning was like, no. I was like, we already got these boarding passes. Go ask your supervisor. Because Ahmed last night said yes.
All right.
And that's how we were able to board.
So remind me again. At some airports, and some airlines, you use, because of your health issues, you use a special check-in counter. Is that right?
The disability counter. Yeah.
You use the disability counter.
Mm-hmm.
And you were at the disability counter having this conversation. And so they knew you were someone with health issues.
Yes.
They were still like.
Yeah, she still went and asked 2 more supervisors. And she's like, I don't know. And she asked 2 more supervisors. And they had another conversation. They were like, finally, like, yeah, just don't let her make it. And finally, we were able to board. Okay. And it was both of us because Melvin, he ride with me because he had COVID too. We both. Right. we both with the letters. So finally they were able to let us board. And they checked that letter 3 more times before we got on the plane. They still checking that PCR. 3 more checkpoints with the PCR letter, and they all shaking their heads like, so there's 3 more conversations about the letter.
I haven't quite figured out, and I'm sure there's some scientist in the comments who will let us know, but I haven't quite figured out why they need a letter and a test, right? Like the letter saying she gonna test positive, right? But like there's a very good chance she'll test positive. So what is the benefit of having?
I don't know. Since she's completed all her quarantine, she tested positive, but now she's completed her 10 days. She's at no threat to the community. Please let her board.
Like
I don't know why I need a negative to go with it.
Test as well, or negative.
Yeah, it was asinine.
But I don't know. I hear it a lot. The people are like, you still need a test, and it's like, well, why? Like the letter says, there's, you know what I mean? Like I am someone who had it. There's a very good chance it's going to show up in my blood for a long time. Why do I also need a test? Besides spending the money, like besides the fact that people haven't thought through what this means to travelers.
Yeah, but my American doctor, when I got back, she's like, but how did you get back? I was like, because I had the letter. How you mean? How did I get back? So yeah, it was very stressful. It was a lot.
Okay. All right. That is a lot.
But for somebody who can't afford that and you don't have your stuff together, don't do it. Don't go nowhere. So look, I parlay. We retired, right? We don't care. We sitting wherever. I was gonna be sitting in Bali, sitting in Dubai. But if you on somebody's job, or don't go nowhere. Stay at home. If you can't afford to do that, or if your coin's not right, or it's a lot. And it wasn't just Dubai. Okay, so it was Morocco. It was Egypt. It was Rwanda. Don't go nowhere if you can't afford to deal with this. Because I'm telling you, I tested positive in Dubai for COVID, but there was drama everywhere. It wasn't just Dubai. There was drama everywhere.
Right. And so I did a video a couple of weeks ago about the trouble with travel. And that's one of the things we talked about, how if being quarantined somewhere that you don't want to be, or but you might want to be, but you might not want to be there that long, is going to impact you negatively financially, or it's going to impact you negatively with your job because you need to be somewhere, don't do it.
And then I was like, I'm in Dubai for New Year's. I'm getting caught up in Dubai at New Year's Eve and Christmas. I was like, oh my God. I was like, could I be stuck in Egypt? I would have been parlaying like, it's fine, it's good. Mm-hmm. But I was in Dubai at New Year's Eve and I was like, oh Lord. So yeah.
Okay. Well, a lot of people are going to Dubai for the Expo. Did you enjoy it? It sounds like you did.
The Expo was amazing. And the pictures and the videos and everything, it doesn't even do it justice. They set it out. It is absolutely positively amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But was it worth the drama?
I gotta say, yeah.
Okay. See, now Eve is about it. I'm gonna tell you. Eve is one to be like, what else would I be doing? Just hanging out in Dallas?
I gotta say, the Expo, it was worth every bit. The Expo is amazing. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
Okay.
On so many levels. As a traveler, if you like history, if you like learning about different countries, if you like music, if you like art, people watching on all levels. It was Christmas time. Oh my God. So they set it out. I mean, it was just magnificent. Okay. So, yeah.
So someone asked about what the Expo is. So can you back it up a second and tell us more about it?
So the Expo is it's called Expo 2020. It was supposed to be last year. So as somebody who missed the Olympics that I was supposed to be at because of COVID and then missed the Expo, I was glad that they finally had it this year. So I wasn't going to miss out on it. It's the World's Fair. They have it every 5 years. So the next one's going to be in Osaka in Japan. So this year Dubai had it. And it's just amazing. It's representation from all the countries. Dubai is the first location to have all 192 countries represented there.
Wow.
And so they have little pavilions or buildings that represent each country. And in each pavilion, inside their pavilion, they talk about their country. So they either have things that their country is known for. So if whatever that country is known for, whatever they sell or whatever product is known for that. Let's talk about Rwanda. So in the Rwanda pavilion, they have coffee, right? Because Rwanda has amazing coffee. They also talk about tourism in that country. So of course they talked about gorilla trekking. They also talked about infrastructure that they do in Rwanda. That's what's in their pavilion. The Italian pavilion talked about their history. In their country. They talked about some innovation that they're doing in their country. The American pavilion, well, they talked about space and some things. Yeah, I didn't like the American. Let's just go skip over the American pavilion. The Thailand pavilion talked about their history. Afghanistan had a pavilion that was amazing. They sold a lot of things. Turkmenistan talked about the different rugs that they make there. Their food was amazing. The Egyptian pavilion was amazing. But also the Niger pavilion was amazing. The Jamaican pavilion was great. They had great coffee. The Ethiopian pavilion. So they're all these smaller countries that you wouldn't get a chance to go to. The Mauritius pavilion was gorgeous and amazing. And the innovations that they have in each country. And the one thing you see is how proud every country is of what they have and what they have to offer and little things that you get to learn about them. So it was just amazing to see that and how they take their things and bring it down for activities for children also in each country, in each little pavilion. And then every time you turn a corner, there's music. There might be dance going on and then performances. So Alicia Keys performed there for free. We were so tired that day, we didn't even go back for it. And the Black Eyed Peas just performed a couple of days ago there, and it's free. Once you enter, you get to see all these things for free there. So it's just a lot. But right now, even if you can't go there, you can go to Expo 2020 online and you can do virtual tours. You can actually see it from the comfort of your home.
All right.
So it was truly worth it. If you are any type of world traveler, it's worth it. If you're an Instagram type of person, boy, you would be an Instagram picture of heaven because there's so many installations there. So yeah, you'd like it.
Okay, that sounds good. You said the next one's in Osaka?
Osaka, yeah. The next one is in Osaka, Japan. It usually lasts from 6 months. They're normally from October to March. They usually run from October to March.
Okay. So have we gotten through the Dubai drama?
Yeah.
Now, what are you still want to get to Costa Rica, right? And you still need to get
I will live there. Yeah. So I will definitely live there because the American healthcare system is so raggedy. I will be here probably through March. I thought it was going to be able to be. I've already been to 2 doctor's appointments and an ER visit, and it's going to be dragged out a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. So I'll probably be here in America through March, which means I probably won't go right back to Indonesia. I just don't see it happening. And since I have to be back here in America the end of June and through mid-July, so I'm not willing to pop over to Asia for like a month or 2. It's not worth it for me to take a trip. I know some people, my girlfriend told me yesterday, these first world problems, right? Because most people go over there for 2 weeks and think they're doing something, but I'm not willing to go over there for like a month. I need to be over there to make it worth my while, right? I would want to be over there a lot longer. So I probably won't end up going over there till after the summer.
But I think it may sound like a first world problem, but I think what you're talking about is the way is going to be the new trend in travel, which is people.
For me as a slow traveler and a retired person traveler, to make my retirement coins make sense for me, if I'm going to drop that money on a plane ticket to East Asia, I need to be over there on that particular side of the world for at least 3 months, right? To make more sense for me and my wallet. Right. Yeah. So I will actually end up, after I get my healthcare situated, probably be on your side of the world. I'll actually be down in Mexico after I leave here, and I'll spend some time running around Mexico until I have to be back in America. And since I know that they have Mexican visa drama, I will probably lock down my visa before I set foot at the airport, because I don't want to. I don't know. Y'all got that 30-day. What is it? 10-day, 30-day.
It's whatever the visa person tells you.
Yeah, I don't know. I might apply for a visa ahead of time because
I don't know that you can get one approved. You can get days approved in advance. I see like ads for it, but it's not how most people do it. So I don't even know what that process is like.
Or I might that might be a round trip ticket for me.
Yeah, for most people.
I rarely buy round trip tickets, but in that case, I might actually purchase a round trip ticket. Like, hey, I'm going to be here 60 days. Here you go.
It's a round trip ticket and accommodations booked.
Yeah, I might actually do that. Because I specifically know exactly where I'm going and what I'm doing. It'd be one of the few times I have real plans. So who knows?
They also, the other day, I heard they asked for a letter of invitation.
I'm going to a specific place, so I could probably make that pop off.
Yeah, I would say that, like, if you want to get in without doubt and stay for as long as you want, that letter of invitation, which I don't even know how to get one, the accommodations and the round trip flight.
Yeah, I'm going for a very specific number of days to a very specific place, and I ain't trying to live there. So yeah, I think I could pull it.
Yeah. And because you're retired, you probably have a better chance. They're cracking down more on. They're allowing snowbirds some grace and cracking down on digital nomads, which is purely in their discretion based on how old you are. Which
we old. They'd be like, let her old ass in. Yeah, I definitely don't want to stay. I want to come visit some people and come right back out. So my friends were just there for about a month and they came and left. So I'm going exactly where they were and I'm coming right back out. So I should be all right.
I see some people in the comments saying a letter of invitation that's brand newness. It's actually not. Adelia and I found that out the other day because someone messaged me that they got all the way here. I think they were coming from somewhere in Africa. I think it may have been Nigeria. They got all the way here and immigration was like, so where's your letter of invitation? And they didn't have one. So they had to fly all the way back. So we were like, I ain't never heard of that. We hit Google and it's right there. It's right. Like that is something they can ask for before they let you.
See, these people are dusting off these old rules that have just been on the books. You just have to be prepared. See, that's the stuff they hit me with in Rwanda. In Rwanda, that was one of those things where when I told you he was asking all these questions, but before I go somewhere, I hit all those dusty ass rules, and I knew the answer to all those questions he was hitting me with.
Okay.
And so that's how I was able to enter. But had I not known the answer to all those questions, I wouldn't have made that flight. Okay. And that's the part that makes me want to get somewhere and sit down, because it's exhaustive to have to know. It's like you studying for the bar exam to know all the rules of going someplace. And again, it's not just where you're going. It's if you remember I said I was somewhere for 22 hours. The layover was, because you have to know those rules as well. And yeah, it's exhausting, and it changes at the drop of a dime. It's exhausting. I don't want to play those games anymore.
No, it doesn't. So Mexico is a lot laxer about entering and leaving than I would like them to be personally, but on the ground, the local communities are very cautious about COVID. I think it all stems back to when like you couldn't get in a hospital. So, you know, or getting in a hospital was going to cost you like a deposit of $10,000 or $15,000 US. And so they've at least in the big, like Mexico City, in some of the more tourist towns, they're not as cautious. But in some of the less touristy environments, it's very much like, what's your temperature? Let me give you some hand sanitizer before you walk in here. You know, all of those things are still happening regularly, and they're requirements in a lot of places. But right now, it's just like, if you can't afford to get stuck somewhere, you shouldn't go. If you don't have to have that layover, you shouldn't.
Yeah, I'm all for the non-layover places now. It's more money, but unfortunately, those layovers cause drama, and yeah, it's just not worth it.
Yeah,
anymore. And you just be stuck, and no, it's just not worth it. Not in these travel times. I found that it's not, and I'm just okay with that.
Yes,
I'm just okay with that.
And sometimes it's not even the getting stuck. It's the not knowing, right? So like when we were leaving,
it's definitely the anxiety of the not knowing. The anxiety, I'm telling you, it is a lot. And when people say they show up so late to the airport, I'm like, how do you do it? I have to be. So first of all, as a handicapped traveler, I have to pack a lot of patience, and I have to be way early, right? Because I just never know what I'm gonna get in terms of handicapped services. I don't never know, especially being abroad. You never know what you're gonna get in those terms. But it takes so long with these documents, right? Getting checked, and I know it's different in every country, but the anxiety of them checking those documents, then you just never know.
Okay. Yeah, for me, like, and it depends on, a lot of times the anxiety level depends on where you're going and what you need. Like when we were going to Argentina, it was a test within 72 hours. So 2 days ahead of time, I knew whether I was going to be okay or not. Getting into the US now, when I have to have a test within 24 hours, it's like, I gotta be in the last 24-hour window. The test, not 24 hours, the day before. It has to be the day before. I won't know whether I can enter a country until I get the results from a test the day before. That's the anxiety for me of like, this is real last minute. Like, if I don't, where am I going to stay? What am I going to do? What's the plan? Right? Like, what's happening?
Oh, I see somebody's asking what stuff is in Asia and who's keeping it and how are you going to get it? Okay, so when the pandemic happened, I was staying in Chiang Mai, And I was already, Chiang Mai has what they call burning season. And because I have a lung disease, I had to leave, right? And I had already planned to do some travel for a month for the tail end of burning season. But that's just when the pandemic was striking. And all the places I had planned to go were shutting down like a domino effect. And the last place that was still open was Indonesia. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just go to India, because everything was fine until it wasn't. It happened very quickly. And so the last place I could go was Indonesia, and that's where I went. Well, at the time, I still had a house in Chiang Mai. And so when it became very evident that I could not go back there, when my lease was up in July, my neighbors packed up our entire house for us, and they're keeping it all at their house. So that's where all my belongings still are to this day, at their house. And so I'm going to eventually go back there and get it. It's just mainly like our clothes and some personal documents and things like that. So they did a video chat with us and walked through our house and packed up everything. They dealt with our landlord for us. They took our cable boxes back for us, and they did all of this for free. They won't take any money from us. And so we occasionally send them nice goodies through some friends of ours that still live there.
Okay. All right. That's really nice. I had someone pack up my stuff for me too. Okay, but it's not. We're not talking about my trauma.
But no, it's still there. I'm positive. They're actually our neighbors that live right behind us. He's a chef at a very well-known hotel there at in Chiang Mai. So it's still all there for us. And he's actually wants to move to America, since they have been hit so hard in Chiang Mai, because it's sort of still not. It's open, but it's not open.
Okay.
For tourism, but no, it's still out there, and one day we'll
so not hit by COVID, but the economy took a hit because it's closed. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, the economy is taking a hit because it's open, but it's not.
Right.
It's sort of open now, but there's still drama to get back in. You can get back in, but it's a little drama ridden.
Does Thailand still have the mandatory quarantine?
Yes, but they had sort of got it down to 1 day test and go, and then
Omicron.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right. Okay. So what was for you the hardest country to get into?
Oh, they all raggedy, but I want to say it's that I'm not even in yet. It's Thailand that I'm still trying to get into. And even when they ease the regulations, it's the drama of it all. So I haven't gone back there just because of that. It's definitely, and second up would be Bali, or Indonesia is next up. There's a workaround, so I can get in there. But Indonesia is a whole nother set of problems, because their internet citizens will come for you. They can be problematic. The locals there can be problematic in certain ways, and there have been certain well publicized articles on people getting deported because of that. So because
their online activity brings
that's right
locals.
That's right. They did that to themselves. So the next country would have been Rwanda. Rwanda takes COVID very serious. They are on it. They're on it. When you land, you got to come in with a COVID test, and when you land, you're taking a COVID test. And to leave their country, you got to leave with a COVID test. They don't care where you're going and what the rules are of that country. You're going to take a COVID test to leave Rwanda. So, and they are on top of the rules of the country that you're going to.
Okay. So you felt like when you were at the airport in Rwanda, the people knew the rules.
Whether they knew them or not, they were flexing what they knew or half knew. They will make sure you know what they think they know in Rwanda. So yes, that was rough. Enter and exiting Rwanda, and their even their rules in country for COVID are rough. Like if you out past curfew, they pick you up and then you sleeping in the football stadium all day long if you out past curfew there. So it was a little rough there. I enjoyed it immensely. I enjoyed Rwanda, but their rules entering and exiting were a little rough.
Okay. All right. One of the things I learned from you, I picked up from talking to you and experiencing you online over the time, is that more than ever now, I think you've always been really good at this, but more than ever now, you need to know the rules. You need to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
That those are the things that will get you further.
You do. So one, you don't expect anybody to advocate better for you than you, right? Mm-hmm. In fact, you can't be lazy. If you are going to get out here and travel, then study, get out here, and don't just the embassy, the American embassy is for the Americans, right? And whatever's on their website, don't just trust. The CDC is for the Americans, right? Don't be quoting what the CDC said in Morocco, right? You need to go to the Moroccans' website, right? The Egyptians' website. You need to dig a little deeper, and you just need to really learn what the local customs are, or what their rules are. And you really got to check it the day of, the week of. You got to keep updating it, because it changes so frequently. If I can impress nothing else upon everybody, keep checking constantly, because they just change and there's nothing you can do about it. And have insurance. Mm-hmm. Get refundable stuff and read that fine print. Even on your insurances, you need to read that travel insurance, because it's not what you think it is. And a lot of people get caught up on that, especially because of COVID. They changed a lot of those policies. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of people just are getting caught up because they're not reading those rules on how it affects them. Slow travelers, nomads, vacationers. There's different nuances in all of those travel insurance policies. And some people are not paying attention and they're just getting caught up. I full well knew what my hole was in travel coverage. I fully understood where my vulnerabilities were. And I just hit that vulnerable hole when I happened to get COVID.
That's tough.
Yeah, but those are the risks that we take as travelers. We full, you know what it is. So,
yeah. And I'm still seeing we're January 2022, so we're almost a full 2 years into we're fully 2 years into COVID, but we're 2 years into the American experience. We're almost 2 years into the American experience of COVID, and I'm still seeing people mad because they booked non-refundable hotel rooms and they don't have travel insurance and they can't get their money back and their credit card isn't crediting them. And it's like,
they did that to themselves.
We're too far into this, baby. We are too far. And they can't go now because they have COVID. COVID's a thing. You didn't have travel insurance and you booked a non-refundable room.
I wasn't mad about nothing. I was mad about nothing. Was I stressed? Absolutely. Was I traumatized by it all? Absolutely. It was a whole lot coming at me at the entirety of the situation, right? All of it. Was I stressed about it? Was I traumatized by it? Absolutely, right? But what am I gonna do? That whole foolishness, because that's what it was, right? It was a lot. It was a lot on anybody, and I'm a seasoned traveler, and it was just a whole lot. And I'm going through all of this while I can't breathe, right? I literally can barely breathe as I'm going through all of this. And I'm trying to exit this country, right? Because I don't know. And I'm worried about, are they actually, at all while this is going down, I'm wondering, are they finna come get me and put me in a real quarantine somewhere? Because if they put you in a real quarantine, some of these quarantines aren't pretty, right? And in Dubai, had I been in Dubai and not in Sharjah, it would have been a whole different story. Because in Dubai, they would come and snatch you up and put you in a quarantine. And remember when I said I went to the health department? At the health department, when you go and test there, instead of where I tested at the clinic, they put a watch on you that they bolt on you that has a GPS tracking system in it. So you got to quarantine for real. And remember, I'm just all willy-nilly just in my hotel, going and coming, you know, on an honor system. These people had a GPS tracking system on them that showed that they were at home for real, and they had to get it removed by the Department of Public Health. I didn't have to do that. Okay. So it was a totally different situation. So I'm stressed by it all while I was there and going through it while I couldn't breathe. But I'm not mad at anybody. Right. So those people who are on vacation traveling or something like that weren't prepared, they should be mad at nobody but themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought you were going to say that if you got tested at the health department, they would just snatch you up right then and there. But if a GPS tracker
in Dubai, they snatch you right then and there. If you are sick, if you have no symptoms, they tell you to go home and quarantine, and they send you home. They put that watch on you and send you about your business.
Right.
If you test at the health department, I didn't test at the health department. Right.
Which I'm always a little cautious about the health department because I need to know what comes next, right? I want to have a little bit of say in what comes next. I don't want to get, you know.
Now you test at the health department in these countries? No. Yeah. Have you seen some of them places they put you in?
I've seen some of the meals they give you, which is truly the more important part to me. And I'm like, no, baby. How do I order something? What is the local food delivery app? Because I can't. I'm not. I've seen some of these meals. It's not. All right. I also read that someone's comment. I also read that Dubai places you in the quarantine hotel at their expense. So Dubai picks up the cost.
I didn't read that. No.
You don't know?
No, it would have been at my expense.
At your expense if you were there. Okay, maybe she meant there, like the travelers.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But then again, I was in Sharjah, so Sharjah and Dubai was going to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sharjah was a whole different ball of wax. They were like they're definitely the stepchild of the Emirates between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Sharjah is definitely the stepchild of the Emirates. Yes, they definitely were.
Okay. What haven't we covered? What do we need to talk about? What haven't we covered?
I don't know. I think we did. We talked about the Rwanda, the in and out of me getting in and out of Rwanda because, child. But they're on top of it there. We talked about Dubai ad nauseum. I'm so finished with those people and the American healthcare system because they raggedy. You know, to schedule my follow-up appointment or my first appointment with the pulmonologist so far out, and she told me basically there are 900 people ahead of me that are half of them dying of lung cancer, so I could either take this appointment or not. And I was like, well, okay,
all
right, America.
All right. Oh yeah, because it's really hard to get in to see doctors right now because hospitals are booked. So okay, so you said you've been in the ER since you've been back.
Yeah. That was a shit show too. It's America.
How bad of a shit show?
Put it this way, they never took me to the back. I had all of my treatment while I was sitting in the lobby.
Oh.
All of it. Even the doctor's consultation.
With just people around you?
Yes, ma'am.
Hearing all your business and stuff?
Yes. In the lobby. There was another lady sitting next to me hooked up to an IV in the lobby.
Dallas.
They would come take me to get an x-ray from the lobby. Eve Clark in the lobby. They come get me for my CAT scan from the lobby. They call me to the back. We need your blood. Come on back here to the little triage room. Take my blood. Yes. Everything from the lobby.
Okay.
When they came to discharge me, so they came to register me when I already had my discharge papers. I was like, okay, well, yeah. And then they were like, yeah, basically you got a little shortness of breath. I was like, so you mean I flew 16 hours for you to tell me, yeah, I got shortness of breath. Maybe you need a stress test. I was like, I had a stress test before I left 6 months ago, and it's definitely more than that. But if that's what you think, I flew 16 hours for you to tell me that, okay, if that's what you're thinking. But yeah.
Okay, so the ER was before you talked to, or have you even seen your regular doctor yet?
Yes, my regular doctor sent me to the ER. She did a virtual visit with me, and as soon as the screen came up, she was like, hell no. First, she couldn't believe how I flew back with just that paper. She's like, how did you make it back into America? And then she was like, yeah, I'm seeing that you need a CT scan, you need an x-ray, y'all not go to the ER. She's like, I'm sending them a message right now. She's like, where are you at? I was like, I'm in Bedford, Texas. She says, yeah, and the hospital is right 5 minutes from you. Yeah, you need to go to the hospital right now. So she thought it was an emergency situation, but the hospital did not think it was an emergency
hospital
situation.
Was like, girl, you still alive.
Basically, they was like, you ain't dead yet, so go back home.
And please leave so you don't die here. Thank you.
Basically. And then when I talked to the doctor, they said, well, if you feel yourself dying, go back to the ER. I was like, okay. This is how it all went down. So I was like, okay. If
you feel yourself dying,
go back to the ER. But this is what I'm dealing with. No lie.
But like you're not someone with like a pristine physical condition who showed up with a cold.
Man, this is what these people told me. I was like, so I felt a need to come back 16 hours on a flight. And you think I said, I could have just went to Indonesia. I should have just went. Because in Bali, you know who would have fixed me right now? In Indonesia, these people would have fixed me already. I'm telling you that. I promise you, they would have fixed me already. I'd have been in a nice hospital in Indonesia. They'd have had a bed for my husband, and they'd have brought me a full gourmet 5-star menu to my bedside every day. That's what I'm telling you would have went down if I would have just went on with my travels. But I thought I needed to come back to America for these American doctors to fix me, and oh, how wrong was I? Because they ain't done nothing since I've been back. But hey, if I feel like I can't breathe enough, I'll go on back down to the hospital for they to tell me I'm not dead yet.
Okay, so you with your MS and your lung issues, your lung diseases, you gotta wait. You gotta wait until you're like, I got one breath left.
Yeah, I had to do breathing treatment before this interview so I can breathe enough to talk to you. I have to do another one when we finish, right?
Thank
you. These are the things I have to do. But outwardly, right, it always appears that there ain't nothing wrong with her. She ain't dead yet. So, but yeah, that's American healthcare for you.
Listen, actually, Khaleesi has a good question. Where would you say you've seen the best healthcare system?
Thailand was excellent. Okay. I'm not looking down on Indonesia either because they were quite nice. But Thailand was some 5-star healthcare. I'm gonna give it to them. They were good.
And aside from the US, because we already know, where would you say you've seen the worst healthcare?
I don't even want to put that on India because they did Melvin sort of right, and Melvin had a little situation,
but kind of sort of India.
It was quick and fast and cheap, but maybe India a little bit.
Maybe India. Okay. All right.
Maybe India.
But it's not like India and America are neck and neck.
America just a little bit above India.
Ooh, America had okay, so truly India, it was not a great healthcare experience, is what I would pick up from
it was quick and fast and cheap, right? But they are overworked. Their facilities are overworked. Their technology is a little bit behind. Their doctors are well trained because most of them trained in America, but it's their facilities. It's mainly for their facilities. The doctors are well trained and it's very cheap, but it's more so for their facilities.
Okay.
That's all. Just their facilities.
Okay.
But Thailand was great, and so is Indonesia. Thailand was great, and so was India. I got to give it to Bali. They were good too. But America, they slacking.
Okay.
Overcharge. I can't wait to see this bill for the ER because I swear if they charge me for a room that I never sat foot in.
You know they probably did.
Last time I was here when I was in the ER, that visit was $10,000 for I was in the ER all of maybe 90 minutes for them to treat me. And it was $10,000. Whereas, it's like $1,600 for a whole week in the hospital in Thailand. A whole week. So yeah.
Someone asked about the healthcare system in Costa Rica, but that's one of the reasons you're moving there, right?
Yes, excellent healthcare. It's the #2 place in the world to get treatment for multiple sclerosis, and that is my main autoimmune disease.
Okay.
That's one of the main reasons we're moving there.
Okay. So yeah, so that's a good sign. Is there a specific city like that you have in mind because of healthcare?
I had mainly thought that I would like to live in Escazú, which is right outside of San Jose. But it might be too Americanized for me. I might want to move a little farther out, like either in Playa de Coco or Gracia, but those might be a little too far from the hospital. So I got to get there, see them, map out the route to the hospital, because I really can't be more than 30 minutes away from a real hospital.
Okay. And that's why you thought Belize was going to be an option, but it's not.
Yeah, but their healthcare is trash.
But also it's hard to get to, right? If I remember that correctly.
Belize is not hard to get to. I love Belize. It's just that their healthcare system is trash. And I would like to live in Ambergris Caye. So in Ambergris Caye or in San Pedro, in that area, like if you're sick at night, they got to airlift you back to the main city. And they don't have lights in the airport, so they can't fly like after 5 or 6 o'clock. So it'd be problematic.
Yes.
To live there. But they claim they're going to be building a new hospital soon. And if they did, I would love to live there. But in long term, I really need to live in Costa Rica. It would for my particular health issues. Belize is someplace I visit. Costa Rica is someplace I would live.
Okay. All right. That's helpful. That's helpful.
Yeah, that's what I tell people when they're looking. Anybody with health issues, you have to think of, what's going to make more sense for you if you had imminent problems with your health. You can't look at a place because it's all glorified. You can't look at it with vacation eyes. Look at it with the eyes of what happens if you really have a health emergency.
Yes.
It's different than a vacation eye looking at it.
It definitely is. It definitely is. And it's also when you're starting off with chronic illnesses or autoimmune issues, like it's not it's not just where you like the healthcare, but also the state of the city. Like whatever things that trigger your issues and whatever things that make it harder or easier to live somewhere. So for me, one of my autoimmune issues is triggered by eating corn, which I found out after being in Mexico for the first time. I was here for a long time. I cannot eat corn. I can eat very, very little. I can eat a taco, like 2 tacos a day. I can eat 2 tacos once or twice a week, but I can't eat like corn. Very few tamales. Most of the foods here, I can't.
No elotes?
No elotes. No.
Let's have a moment of silence.
No. No esquites. No.
I'm sorry.
So knowing that, like I learned that because I was eating corn and then I couldn't see. That was an issue. But it's that kind of thing. Like what is if you have a food sensitivity, whatever foods they eat there.
Yes, because I have one of my other problems is I have chronic kidney stones, chronic kidney stones, and it takes a whole lot of foods off the table. Like I had to fight my doctor for coffee and tea. Like she was like, no more coffee, no more tea. I was like, girl, that's not even gonna happen. I'm going to Rwanda and Morocco. Like I went from 10 coffees a day to 1. I'm still going to drink it. I will increase my water intake, and I'm going to Morocco, the land of the mint tea. So it's not going to happen. So we're going to talk about what else can we do. She's like, increase your water a lot. I was like, okay, because you took a lot of food away too. So with corn, and you in Mexico, and they love corn. So that's got to be hard.
It is, because there's a lot of foods where I'm like, when I'm being good, I got to be like, nah, I can't eat that. I can't. But it's still worth it for me to be down here.
They love corn, so you got to learn like what your tolerances are.
And so I've known that I've had the autoimmune issue that I have or that specific one for almost 20 years before I found out that I was sensitive to corn, because I found out because I was in Mexico and I was eating corn some version of corn at every meal. And I wasn't doing that in the US. And that's why I'm saying moving from one country to the next can kick something off if you don't know something. Like I had no idea that I was sensitive to corn.
Yeah.
Until I was eating it 3 meals a day. And then I was like,
well, and that's how the kidney stones came, was Indonesia, in Bali. Because almost everything in the foods in Indonesia contained the problems that gave me the kidney stones. The majority of the foods with the nuts and some of the leafy greens, it was all the foods that I was eating in Indonesia gave me the problems with the chronic kidney stones. So you're right. That's something to look for as well. But
it is something to pay attention to. Like if your body starts reacting differently when you go abroad, it's time to pay attention to what's going on.
It is. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm having tacos today. I'm gonna have one in your honor today, girl.
Have one in my honor.
This is for Sheeta. This taco I'm eating today, Lord. Ooh, we come before your name and Sheeta's name. Yes, girl, I'm gonna have one.
The other day I was with someone and we were ordering food to my place, and we ordered like 3 tacos, and I had to like take the meat off. I just ate like the taco meats, and it was and the pineapple that came with it, and the onions and the cilantro, and like the tortillas.
Oh.
Our favorite dog Mia was here, so I fed Mia some.
Oh. So look, do you feel as though travel for our community on a whole is going to, I feel as though it's ramping back up, but do you feel as though it's going to change tremendously for COVID? Like people will still continue to travel with these new changes, they will just begin to deal with it?
I think we're going to see an increase of slow travelers, people who are becoming digital nomads or can work from anywhere and will choose to do that. Because to your point from earlier, if you're going somewhere for under a month, it might not be worth it, right? Like I'm not trying to go to another country for a week. I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that anymore. Like the last time I went somewhere for a short time, it was my best friend's house. Like I can get stuck here. If something happens and I can't leave Canada, she's not gonna put me in this. Like she's not gonna tell me I gotta go. Her husband's not gonna tell me I gotta go. Them kids are like, "Come, can we come sleep with you?" Right? Like and getting stuck in Canada is not the end of the world, right? It's not like I'm in a country where I don't have the network, I don't have the resources. I'm okay. And I was there for 2 weeks, and I was like, if I get stuck, it's fine, right? And I don't have to be anywhere. Like the only people who hold me accountable are my mama and Stephanie, and they're both like, go have fun, right? Like I don't have to show up for work. My job doesn't care where I am. Right. Knowing what I know now, the last few times I've traveled, I probably wouldn't plan trips to places where I can't get stuck if I'm going to be there for less than at least a month. So I think that's going to change, but I think some people are still going to hold on to their old ways because it's what they know. They're like, I want to go to Jamaica for a vacation, and a non-refundable flight and hotel room is cheaper, and I've never needed insurance before. So, or I get it on my credit card, and I'm like, your credit card insurance may not say what you think it says.
No, like, it's not the same insurance. I just encourage people now to know, have their what if plans already laid out. Go ahead and book that little cheap trip, but already know if you test positive, already have the funds available to know that I tested positive. This is where I'm going to stay for the next 10 days. You already need to know, so you're not freaking out right then and there when the test results come. You already have that planned out.
Yeah. You need to know where you're going to get tested. If you need to get tested to leave the country or while you're in the country, you need to know where you're going to get tested, because in a lot of places right now, because everyone's coming down with COVID, it's really hard to get a test. It's really, really hard to get a test.
Yeah. So that was our problem in Dubai when they changed from the time I tested positive and got my results back in less than 24 hours to the time that I went back to test. From December 27th to January 14th, they had changed their protocol just that fast. So yeah, I would suggest that people take a test with them if they can. If you can lock down and take your test with you to get, especially for people that are coming back into America, if you can take a test with you, those approved for travel tests, if you can take it with you, take it with you.
And if you're flying an airline that is particular, I know Emirates was for a while. I don't know if they still are. You need to find out what tests they accept.
They are. Those were the most expensive people. Oh my God, they were so expensive. They are. But those are things they should all do. The stuff I see in some of these groups from some people, I'm like, did you just say that? I just sit back. My scroll game is getting better. The scrolling and keep it to myself, like, oh, bless your heart. Just yeah. I was arguing with somebody about something this morning, but usually I'm getting a little better with just keep on scrolling. But that is one thing, to take your test with you if you can, if it's approved for reentry, especially into America with that 24-hour rule. Take a test with you if at all possible. Make sure you check the expiration date on it before you leave. If at all possible. That's kind of some of the best advice I think I can give them, especially the vacationers. Not so much for us slow travelers, but for the vacationers.
Yeah. Because for one of the popular tests, I want to say Binax. They were sending out expired tests and then being like, it's okay, we just added 6 months to the end date. And it's like, I think it was Binax.
Oh, that was Binax.
Okay. And so people were like, is my test good or not? And not really knowing. And it was kind of a disaster.
Oh, D Walker, I see she says that she was turned down for travel insurance for one company because she is 66. Yes, sweetie, my husband is older too. For one, it depends on where you're going. Some airlines are including travel insurance with their tickets. Emirates is one of those companies. But also, if you go to Insure My Trip, there are 3 or 4 companies on there who will insure you. Well, World Nomads is one who will insure you up to 70, if I'm not mistaken. They will cover you as well. Check with them.
And I'm going to drop a link to World Nomads right here. Boom. All right. That's an affiliate link. If you use it, puts a little trickle of change in my pocket, but it costs you nothing more. Someone asked about will countries accept home tests? It depends. When I say bringing a test with you, I mean a test to get back into the US. And there are like 2 approved antigen tests you could take with you, I think, that are approved by the US for entry. Other countries, I don't know. I don't know if they're accepting home tests. I just haven't had that experience yet because I don't live in the US and I can't get home tests in Mexico. So I don't know that information. Somebody else does.
Yeah, Binax is usable. Binax for travel is usable in several countries. I've had some friends use that for several different countries to enter and exit. And it's Elude, I think, is the other country, the other name of the country, Elude or something. I'll post that in the comments after we finish. I'll go see their name and post that in a link for you guys later.
All right. So travel insurance isn't easy at certain points, but it's worth looking for it and trying to get it, because traveling with I would, even if you end up in a hole like Eve was, where your travel insurance isn't covering your costs, I still think it's better to have it than to travel without it. Right.
Yeah. And I was covered. I mean, if I would have been in a hospital, I'm double covered, but it was that COVID situation
where you weren't sick.
Yeah, I wasn't sick, and it wouldn't have covered my hotel that I would have had to be in anyway. So it was just that one little part it wouldn't have covered.
Well, do you know if your credit card or your travel insurance will help you get the money back from the hotel that kicked you out?
Yeah, I already talked to both of them, and it was the same thing, because I'm still sort of parlaying, right? So again, how was I sort of inconvenienced, right? Because
I mean, you lost all that money. You didn't get to stay there.
No. Now the other part, yes, Capital One didn't already.
Okay, that part.
The one where they kept my money.
Okay.
Yeah, that portion. That's a whole different thing. That part. But the other part where I had to just book another hotel.
Yes, because you can't say I was leaving on this date because you didn't have a flight yet.
Because I technically didn't have a flight yet, so I can't prove that I'm leaving.
But where that man kicked you out, you got your money back.
Yes. Capital One was like, oh, hell no. So,
at least that worked out. At least that.
Yeah.
Not a lot worked out for you, but at least that worked out.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being such an amazing guest today. I know that on this channel lately, it's been kind of doom and gloom about travel, and I hate to do it, but I just want you guys to be realistic about what travel looks like these days. Eve is not going to stop traveling. She's just going to be a smart traveler like she always is. I am not going to stop traveling, but I'm probably going to be more cautious about what I do. I'm going to do more travel in Mexico. I'm going to do less layovers, and less meaning zero. I want to fly from where I am to where I want to be, and that's it. Nothing else.
Yeah, I'm definitely a less layover person from here on out. There's no doubts about that. I'm definitely a less layover girl.
Have travel insurance and have time. If you need to be somewhere, I said this last time on the last video, which I'll link to in the description below, the trouble with travel. If you need to be somewhere on February 1st, get there on January 28th. Like if you need to be at home on February 1st or February 2nd, if you need to be somewhere on February 2nd, don't wait until February 1st to get there, because there's a good chance you're not going to make it. Like things are just chaos right now. Don't wait until the last day you need to be somewhere to either be at work or at somewhere else. Give yourself some cushion, because you never know what's going to happen. Especially with now, like we don't know what's going to happen with the next wave, because we know there's going to be another wave, right? And we don't know what's going to happen with the next wave. But if it has all the airline people calling out sick, like legitimately calling out sick, not just not wanting to show up to work, but like actually being sick and unable to work, like the last, like Omicron, then who knows when you're going to get on a flight. I know people who were stuck in Mexico for like a week. We're not talking about Stephanie this time. She was stuck. But those are different people who were stuck for a week because their flight kept getting canceled because there was no staff to work it.
Mm-hmm.
These are definitely things that can happen to you. So you have to create the least stress-inducing experience for yourself. You owe it to yourself to give yourself the least stress-inducing experience. If you can't do that, like if you only have a 7-day window to travel, don't take a 7-day trip. Take like a 4-day trip, right? Like
that part, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, I think we covered it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. Eve was like ready to go, and I loved it.
And you see why now. I hope this saves this little bit of stress and trauma that I went through, at least save some people from going through the same. And I hope I didn't discourage anybody from traveling, because I still believe in travel, but I believe in being prepared for travel. Just be a little prepared out there. The way we used to travel before, I think that those days are over.
Those days are over.
Just rolling up, getting a ticket and bouncing, those days are over. Just be prepared. Just, pack the right. I always say pack your patience, right? Pack your patience when you're rolling up to travel nowadays, and just do a little bit more research before you go, and it'll make for less drama later on. That's all.
Yes. All right. If you do not have a YouTube channel, do you? Someone just asked.
No YouTube channel. Hopefully when I get someplace and sit down long enough, it is coming. But they can catch me on my Instagram. They can catch my website that I will eventually put my blog on. But right now they can catch all my worldwide shenanigans on my Instagram.
Okay. And that's disabled.diva.travel.
That's right.
All right. So thank you for hanging out with us, Eve. And we will talk to y'all next time.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.